Hebrews chapter 7 exposed the change of priesthood, not the abolition of Yahuah's Torah. A hidden truth that most religions never teach, deceiving the whole world. Hebrews chapter 7 does not teach that Yahuah's Torah was abolished or that people are now free to live without obedience. The chapter is specifically about a change of priesthood, not the abolition of righteousness, holiness, or Yahuah's instructions. This video is for reference purposes only. I highly encourage everyone to read the scriptures and the apostolic writings for much better understanding. What is the main subject of Hebrews chapter 7? The entire chapter focuses on Melchizedek's priesthood, the Levitical priesthood, Yahushua becoming high priest, the change of priestly administration. Hebrews 7 verse 11 to 12. Truly then, if perfection were through the Levitical priesthood, for under it the people were given the Torah, why was there still need for another priest to arise according to the order of Melchizedek, and not be called according to the order of Aharon? For the priesthood being changed, of necessity there takes place a change of law also. What further need was there that another priest should rise after the order of Melchizedek? For the priesthood being changed, there is made of necessity a change also of the law. The context is not the whole Torah. The context is the law regarding who may serve as high priest. Under the Levitical order, priests had to come from Levi and Aaron. Yahushua came from Yehudah. Therefore, the legal requirement concerning the priesthood had to change. What law changed? Numbers 3 verse 10. And appoint Aharon and his sons, and they shall guard their priesthood, and the stranger who comes near shall be put to death. Numbers 18 verse 1 to 7. And Yahuah said to Aharon, You and your sons and your father's house, with you are to bear the crookedness against the set-apart place, and you and your sons with you are to bear the crookedness against your priesthood. But bring with you your brothers of the tribe of Levi too, the tribe of your father, to join you, and serve you while you and your sons are with you before the tent of the witness. And they shall guard your charge, and the duty of all the tent. But they do not come near the furnishings of the set-apart place and the slaughter place, lest they die, both they and you. And they shall be joined with you and guard the duty to the tent of appointment, for all the service of the tent, but a stranger does not come near you. And you shall guard the duty of the set-apart place and the duty of the slaughter place, so that there be no more wrath on the children of Yasharal. And see, I myself have taken your brothers the Levites from the midst of the children of Yasharal, a gift to you, given by Yahuah, to do the service of the tent of appointment. But you and your sons with you are to guard your priesthood for all matters at the slaughter place and behind the veil, and you shall serve. I have given you the priesthood as a gift for service, but the stranger who comes near is put to death. The priesthood belonged to the house of Aaron. Yahushua was not from Aaron. He was from the tribe of Yehudah. Hebrews 7 verse 13 to 14. For he of whom this is said belongs to another tribe, from which no one had attended at the slaughter place. For it is perfectly clear that our master arose from Yehudah, a tribe about which Moshe never spoke of concerning priesthood. But thus the change was in the priestly order. Does Hebrews chapter 7 say Torah is abolished? Absolutely no. If Hebrews chapter 7 taught the complete abolition of Torah, it would contradict many other scriptures. Psalm 119 verse 142, Your righteousness is righteousness forever, and your Torah is truth. Psalm 119 verse 160, The sum of your word is truth, and all your righteous right rulings are forever. Isaiah 40 verse 8, Grass shall wither, the flower shall fade, but the word of our Elohim stands forever. Malachi 3 verse 6, For I am Yahuah, I shall not change, and you, O sons of Yaakov, shall not come to an end. Matthew 5 verse 17 to 19. Yahushua said he did not come to destroy the Torah or the prophets. He said, Until heaven and earth pass, not the smallest part shall pass from the Torah. Heaven and earth have not passed away yet. What does disannulment of the commandment mean? Hebrews 7 verse 18. For there is indeed a setting aside of the former command because of its weakness and unprofitableness. The context is still the Levitical priesthood. The commandment being set aside is the requirement that the high priest must come through the Levitical line. It is not a cancellation of all of Yahuah's instructions. Under grace does not mean without Torah. Romans 6 verse 1 to 2. What then shall we say? Shall we continue in sin to let favor increase? Let it not be. How shall we who died to sin still live in it? Romans 6 verse 15. What then? Shall we sin because we are not under Torah but under favor? Let it not be. If under grace meant no need for obedience, Shaul would have said yes instead. He said no. What is sin? 1 John 3 verse 4. Everyone doing sin also does lawlessness, and sin is lawlessness. If Torah no longer existed, sin could not be defined. Yet the apostles continue to warn against sin. Therefore, Yahuah's standard of righteousness remains. What does Hebrews actually teach? The Levitical priests died and were replaced, offered repeated sacrifices, could not bring complete perfection. Yahusha lives forever, holds an everlasting priesthood, intercedes continually, and offered himself once for all. Hebrews 7 verse 24 to 25. But he, because he remains forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Therefore he is also able to save completely those who draw near to Elohim, through him, ever living to make intercession for them. The chapter exalts Yahusha's high priesthood. It does not teach lawlessness. The deepest point of Hebrews chapter 7 is the problem was never Yahuah's Torah. The problem was human weakness. Hebrews 7 verse 19. For the Torah perfected naught, but the bringing in of a better expectation, through which we draw near to Elohim. This does not mean the Torah was evil or wrong. It means the Torah could identify sin but could not transform a rebellious heart. That is why Yahuah promised a new covenant. Jeremiah 31 verse 33. For this is the covenant I shall make with the house of Yasharal after those days, declares Yahuah. I shall put my Torah in their inward parts, and write it on their hearts. And I shall be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. He did not say he would remove his Torah. He said he would write it on the heart. Hebrews chapter 7 does not prove that the Torah is done away with. It teaches the Levitical priesthood was replaced by the Melchizedek priesthood of Yahusha. The law governing the priesthood changed so Yahusha could legally serve as high priest. Yahusha's priesthood is eternal. Grace is not permission to sin. Yahuah's Torah remains the standard of righteousness. The new covenant writes the Torah on the heart rather than abolishing it. Hebrews chapter 7, subject to change of priesthood and covenant administration, not the elimination of Yahuah's definition of righteousness and sin. Many religious traditions use Hebrews chapter 7 to argue that the entire Torah has been abolished because they read certain verses in isolation from the chapter's main subject. First they read Hebrews 7 verse 12, for the priesthood being changed of necessity there takes place a change of law also, and conclude, the law changed means all Torah abolished. But the chapter never says, all Torah is abolished. The subject from beginning to end is priesthood. Hebrews chapter 7 verse 1 to 28 discusses Melchizedek, Levi, Aaron, sacrifices, and high priests. The context determines the meaning. Many people approach scripture through a pre-existing theology. Instead of asking, what is the author discussing? They ask, how does this support what I already believe? 2 Peter 3 verse 16, as also in all his letters, speaking in them concerning these matters, in which some are hard to understand, which those who are untaught and unstable twist to their own destruction, as they do also the other scriptures. When a verse is removed from its context, it can be made to say what it never intended. Hebrews was written to people who knew the temple, priesthood, sacrifices, and covenant system. The author's concern was, if Yahusha is from Yehuda, how can he be high priest? The answer is because he is not high priest under Aaron. He is high priest after the order of Melchizedek. That is the entire argument. Hebrews 5 verse 6, as he also says in another place, you are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 6 verse 20, where Yahusha has entered as a forerunner for us, having become high priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 7 verse 17, for he does witness, you are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. Hebrews 7 verse 21, for they indeed became priests without an oath, but he became priest with an oath by him who said to him, Yahuah has sworn and shall not regret. You are a priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. All repeat the same point. Many confuse three different things to include: Torah, Levitical priesthood, covenant administration. Scripture distinguishes them. The Levitical priesthood could change. The earthly temple could change. The sacrificial system could reach its fulfillment. But Yahuah's righteousness does not change. Psalm 119 verse 142, your righteousness is righteousness forever, and your Torah is truth. Psalm 119 verse 160, the sum of your word is truth, and all your righteous right rulings are forever. The deepest issue is the difference between the letter written on stone and the Torah written on the heart. Jeremiah 31 verse 33. I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts. The new covenant does not say, I will destroy my Torah. It says, I will internalize my Torah. The change is location, from stone tablets to human hearts. The Levitical system was a shadow. Hebrews 8 verse 5. Who serve a copy and shadow of the heavenly, as Moshe was warned when he was about to make the tent. For he said, see that you make all according to the pattern shown you on the mountain. Hebrews 10 verse 1. For the Torah, having a shadow of the good matters to come, and not the image itself of the matters, was never able to make perfect those who draw near with the same slaughter offerings which they offer continually year by year. The earthly priesthood pointed to a greater reality. A shadow is not evil. A shadow reveals the shape of something greater. When the reality arrives, the shadow has completed its purpose. This is why the book of Hebrews focuses on a better priest, a better sacrifice, a better sanctuary, a better covenant, not a different Elohim, not a different standard of righteousness. The deepest revelation of Hebrews chapter 7 is not about abolishing Torah. It is about the transfer of authority. Under the old order, the priest stood between man and Elohim. Under the order of Melchizedek, Yahushua himself becomes the eternal high priest. Hebrews 7 verse 24 to 25. But he, because he remains forever, has an unchangeable priesthood. Therefore he is also able to save completely those who draw near to Elohim through him, ever living to make intercession for them. The focus is not less obedience. The focus is greater access. Why do many interpret it as abolition? Because they see Torah primarily as rules. Hebrews sees Torah as part of a larger revelation pointing toward Messiah. When the goal is reached, some assume the entire path disappears. But Scripture teaches the goal confirms the path. Romans 3 verse 31. Do we then nullify the Torah through the belief? Let it not be. On the contrary, we establish the Torah. The final revelation of Hebrews chapter 7 is about king and priest becoming one. Melchizedek was king of Shalom and priest of El Elyon. Genesis 14 verse 18. And Melchizedek, sovereign of Shalom, brought out bread and wine. Now he was the priest of the Most High Elohim. A king could not serve as high priest. A priest could not rule as king. In Yahushua they become one. Zechariah 6 verse 12 to 13. And shall speak to him, saying, Thus said Yahuwah of hosts, saying, See, the man whose name is the branch. And from his place he shall branch out, and he shall build the Hekal or temple of Yahuwah. It is he who is going to build the Hekal of Yahuwah. It is he who is going to bear the splendor, and he shall sit and rule on his throne, and shall be a priest on his throne, and the counsel of peace shall be between them both. This is the mystery Hebrews reveals. The ultimate message of Hebrews chapter 7 is not, Torah is gone. The ultimate message is, the earthly priesthood was never the destination. The Levitical order was a temporary tutor pointing to an eternal high priest. The chapter reveals a transition from mortal priests to an immortal priest, from repeated sacrifices to one perfect sacrifice, from earthly intercession to heavenly intercession, from shadow to heavenly reality. The central revelation is not the abolition of Yahuah's righteousness. The central revelation is that Yahushua has become the eternal high priest of the order of Melchizedek, through whom Yahuah brings his people into the fullness of the covenant purpose that was foreshadowed from the beginning. Thank you for watching, and see you on my next video. May Yahuah barak us and guides us. Shalom and have a great Yom.